What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, and the QQQ. Talk about some very important levels to be watching for and how the charts are looking thus far. What you should be watching for as you approach the next upcoming trading day. Let me first say that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So, anyways, looking at the market, as a reminder, the market's going to be closed for Christmas, which is going to be on Monday, and we'll be back in action on Tuesday. So that's some very, very big news. That gives us a lot of time to just relax, take some time away from the charts. But I just wanted to give you guys an update video because I don't really want to record any video like this on Christmas Day. I just wanted to just give you guys some updates on a couple of charts for now. It is Christmas Eve, so I hope you guys are having a happy Christmas Eve and spending time with loved ones. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on how these charts are looking. So looking at Tesla, we're going to start off very quickly with this. We had this very, very nice uptrend going back and forth and back and forth. And we saw Tesla break from this bear flag. And this tends to be a little bit more bearish. We're watching this support zone right over here around this 252 area as Tesla's trying to hold this. We actually saw some liquidity being grabbed right here. With this liquidity grab right before a close, there's a chance it's going to rebound a little bit when we open on Tuesday. But we're going to be watching to see if we could hold 252 and then 250. The structure could turn bearish technically. You could argue that Tesla made we had this high right here, we made a lower high, and we're starting to turn down. But I can't really say that with 100% certainty. It's going to depend on the news and stuff. So it's going to rebound again, most likely. And we'll be watching to see, do we establish another lower high? Do we try to break this high at 258? If we manage to achieve that, we could just remain range bound. But if we fail to do so, we could see another rejection of this imbalance right here and then come back down. If you want to turn really bearish on Tesla, you want to see this thing basically close below 250. That would favor the bears a bit more. We need to see like a follow through move after that as well. So if we close below 250, then just continue to do that for 2 days in a row, that's going to turn us more bearish. We could see this thing sell off just a bit. If you're bullish on Tesla, you want to see this thing not just hold above 258, but you want to see it try to test this yellow resistance right here. So it basically did this on Friday. It was trying to break this resistance that ended up just failing for me. I got this big rejection. So we're going to be watching if it does get like a back test. Can we break above this resistance and then get back inside of this like channel and start pushing back up? That's going to be the more bullish case if we do get above 258 and we end up breaking above the yellow trend line. If we manage to do so, Tesla could uptrend even more. But for now, what do I think is very probable? So what I find to be more probable would be Tesla trying to rebound a little bit back towards this imbalance right here. It's going to try to do so, but the question is, will we fail? It's going to depend on the news and such. Will we fail to get a nice break, or is Tesla going to fail again? Well, I do want to note that something negative has been happening to Tesla. Look at the last couple of trading days, just for instance. So let's start off in the middle of December. December 14th, we pumped and then dumped and then kind of pumped again. When we opened on the 15th, Friday, we pumped and pumped a little bit. For Monday, December 18th, we pumped and dumped. Okay. For Tuesday, December 19th, we pumped, dumped, and pumped. Finally, Wednesday, we got that pump and dump. And then last couple of days, Tesla basically pumped, dumped a little bit, then pumped a little bit more. Friday came, Tesla pumped, especially because we got a decent PCE, then it dumped. So what has Tesla been doing the last couple of days? It has a pattern where it kind of like pumps and dumps and tries to pump again, or it just pumps and dumps. That's what's been happening for the last couple of trading days, the last like 7 trading days, excuse me. That's what Tesla's been doing. So there's a very good chance it's going to try to rebound when we open within the first 2 hours, try to push back up, and it might fail, kind of like dump back down like this. But we'll be watching to see, does this thing fail and end up getting below 252 to 250? If we do so, we could favor the bears a bit more, or do we end up just like dropping like this only to get bought back up and attempts to like rebound just a little bit? If we do kind of do this, we're just going to be range bound. But I find a pump and dump like move very, very probable. But then for the last few hours, it's a little hard to predict if Tesla will sell off more if it tries to bounce. It depends on how it reacts to support. So look for a pump and dump move and then see if we bounce or not at the very end of the day. I find that to be very probable for Tesla based off what we saw in the past. And then when it comes to levels, once again, let me just mention this. There's 254, 256 also as resistance. Then we have 258 above that and 260. For support, you're going to be watching 252. If we lose this, there's 250. Then we have the next support around this 47 area. So make sure you watch these levels. That's it for Tesla. When it comes to SPY, in my opinion, is still technically on an uptrend right now, but it's also forming a possibly bearish structure if this bear flag does play out. So it's very simple, really, really simple, if anything. It's super simple to play this. We're going up and down, back up and down. There's going to be an attempt to bounce, but the question is, can SPY get that breakout? We might bounce here. I think we're going to bounce on Tuesday, make an attempt to do so. And then we'll be watching to see, does this bounce give us another high? Do we break out of this high? If we break 456, we could turn very bullish in 476. If we break 476, then the next level is going to be 478. We're going to get a big push. If we fail to establish a new high and we reject, we have to hold this trend line, right? You guys see this White's trend line below here. This is where our channel is. If we get that break, we're going to turn bearish. We're going to be testing 472. If that fails us, 470 is coming for a bigger dump, guys. We're going to see this thing end up dumping quite a bit. All right. So what do I think we're going to do? We're going to maintain this channel. We're going to push a little bit on Tuesday, and then we'll see, do we push higher and try to break this higher? Do we get this rejection? If the rejection comes, watch this trend line as support. That's going to be key for Tuesday to see if we end up getting this break or not. All right, so that's it for SPY. The QQQ has identical technical analysis, same structure, right? Back and forth within this channel. We have this flag that's forming. The question is, does the triple Q bounce? It might make an attempt to bounce like this, but we'll see. Do we establish a lower high relative to this high here? If you're bullish, you want to break out of these highs and get above 410. It is looking like it's kind of struggling to break this resistance at 409 to 410. But just to be safe, you want to watch this just to be safe. And then we also have this structure right here. We have this support. If we lose it, 408 is going to come next. If we close below that, we could be heading down for 405.7 all over again. But remember, it hasn't officially broken yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. It could attempt to bounce first. It's going to likely try to bounce a little bit on Tuesday. Then we're going to be watching to see if we get a break ultimately, or if we end up just continuing to push. Watch for a push first. If we lose this support, we're going to turn a lot more bearish. I'll be watching that very carefully going into Tuesday. For Nvidia, very simple. This thing already started to break below its lower support. However, sometimes that could happen and it could still be okay. So we'll be watching Nvidia try to backtest this. It's going to backtest this most likely. Do we break back into this channel and try to go back up? That's going to be our big test. Or do we reject off here and then start turning down? If we get a big rejection and we lose 488, Nvidia is going to be pushing down to 485, and it's going to turn a little bit more bearish as we have like a head and shoulders like structure developing for a move down to 482. But if you want to be bullish, you want to see this thing break this resistance at 490, this zone right here. Don't reject off 490. You don't want to see this. You want to see it break back into this channel and then maintain the channel. That's going to be like our bullish case. So 490 is going to be a key level. Do we break this or do we reject? That's going to depend on a lot of things coming out for Tuesday. It's going to depend on all these, some pieces of data, which I don't think is that significant, and also how we do after the weekend. My gut is telling me it's going to try to retest 490. It might reject. Don't know for sure. It might actually reject here. It could be from kind of like a head and shoulders, like a left shoulder here, the head up here. Could push and reject, but just to be safe, watch and see the test for confirmation. And then for Apple stock, this is going to be the last one I go over in this video. I want to make this one very quick, guys. I know a long weekend is coming. Apple, in my opinion, it's on a downtrend. Apple's looking kind of weak right now. Okay. If you look at it, it's continuing to just downtrend in this channel, going back and forth and back and forth. I also want to show you guys the daily chart on a couple more tickers. I'm going to go over the dailies in just a few minutes, but as far as Apple goes, Apple has been on a slight downtrend. It's still downtrending technically, but there's a liquidity grab right here. See this long wick that formed? It's going to likely try to bounce a little bit on Tuesday, try to retest this trend line. Then it could reject. If we're bearish, you want to see a big rejection here, and it's going to come down even lower towards 193.5. If that fails us, it's going to come down to this 192.5 area. That's the bearish case. The bullish case is going to be, what if there's good news and we break above 194.4? If we break out of this resistance, it could turn back around and try to push back up to 196. We have an unfilled imbalance up there, which is going to act as a magnet if we break above 195 and hold above that. So Watch this test of 194.4 on Apple. Do we reject or do we bounce? That's going to be determined by all these pieces of information, other things like that. I forgot to remind you guys that before market open, we have one piece of data coming out. I believe we have one piece of data. Not going to be that crazy, but we have just a few pieces of data. We have like the Chicago National Activity Index and just some housing data, but that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy for Tuesday. Could it affect the market to some extent? I guess it could, but it probably won't be that insane. So not too much crazy data is coming out. We'll be watching this test on Apple. It's going to rebound first, but we have to watch, do we reject and maintain this channel? Do we break out? That's going to be key for Apple. All right, so I want to keep the TA very simple, keep this video very short. I hope this video was very helpful for everyone out there. Please have a very awesome Christmas Eve. And I'm just going to go over a few daily charts before I end the video, just very, very quickly. So what do I see for the daily on SPY? I know a lot of people want me to go over this as well. The daily doesn't matter as much. It's very indecisive. SPY is going to likely attempt to go a little higher, and then we'll see if we get a rejection or not. The daily on Tesla is looking a little bit weak, but it's barely holding above the 200 EMA on the daily. So on the daily chart, you're going to be watching that 200 EMA. If we lose that, I could see it weakening a bit, but if it holds and closes above that, there's still going to be some life on it. On Apple on the daily, it's barely holding the 20 EMA. If we lose this, 192.5 is going to be our next target. It's just barely holding that. It looks kind of weak on the daily, so it could sell off a bit more. That's the reason why I was talking about how Apple has this downtrend, so it's looking kind of weak. But we'll be watching this test to see if it reverses or not. It does. I do favor this downside move now, looking at the daily just a little bit more. But just to be safe, we'll have to wait and see. For the triple Q on the daily charts, looking indecisive. I mean, you could argue this is kind of bearish, but I wouldn't necessarily count on it because these daily candlesticks are not always going to determine what happens the next day. So this one right here did not determine this big sell-off. This did not determine the big bounce. This did not determine this big like red candle that we have for today, right? So I would say that it's going to attempt to push higher and we'll see if we reject or not. If we get a rejection, then this could be a change in structure. Just be very, very careful. Nvidia on the daily, this is going to be the last one I talk about. Looking a little bit weak. We're still closing above our 5 EMA. If we lose that, there could be an attempt to drop lower, right? There could be another attempt. We have to see if this holds. It is just range bound right now. It's just going back and forth and back and forth. Not a whole lot's going on with Nvidia, but we'll be watching to see if if we break some of these really important levels. All right, guys, that's it. I want to keep this video short. Once again, enjoy Christmas Eve. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks again, and peace out.